Good evening, and welcome to the big American immigration debate. For over a century, immigration has been central to America's story. From Ellis Island in the early 1900s, when millions of Europeans arrived in search of opportunity, to the 1965 Immigration Act that opened the doors to Asia, Africa, and Latin America, each wave brought both prosperity and controversy. But in the 2020s, immigration has become the lightning rod of American politics. In 2024, the U.S. recorded a foreign-born population of about 53.3 million people, the highest in history at that time. By mid-2025, data suggested declines as tougher policies took effect. At the U.S.-Mexico border, Customs and Border Protection reported record-high encounters in 2024 before some sharp drops in early 2025. The statistics are staggering, but so is the confusion. What do these numbers actually mean for jobs, safety, and culture? Tonight, we'll tackle those questions and the emotions behind them. Is immigration the lifeblood of America, or is the system broken beyond repair? Joining me, Marcus Hayes, MAGA-aligned conservative and former Border Patrol analyst from Arizona. Ari Mercer, policy analyst and former satirical commentator from New York, here to give the progressive case. Let's begin. Marcus, I'll start with you. Why do you believe America faces an immigration crisis?
Because the numbers don't lie, Rachel. In 2024, we saw millions of encounters at the southern border, more than in any year in history. Communities along the border were overwhelmed, and taxpayers across the country, not just Texas or Arizona, are footing the bill for emergency housing, health care, and schools. And let's be blunt. Cartels are exploiting weak border policies. Fentanyl is flooding in. Local police can't cope. Ordinary Americans feel abandoned. And that's why the MAGA movement resonates. We're demanding what every nation has a right to: control of its own borders.
Ari, you've heard Marcus. Crisis or something else?
Look, I'm not here to deny the challenges. Yes, border encounters hit record highs in 2024, but Marcus leaves out the other side of the ledger. By early 2025, after changes in enforcement, those numbers started to fall. And meanwhile, immigrants are propping up the American economy. Studies show immigrants launch businesses at higher rates, contribute disproportionately to patents and innovation, and make up huge shares of our healthcare and tech workforce. So the question isn't, are immigrants good or bad? The question is, how do we manage immigration intelligently? If you just build walls and deport en masse, you strangle industries, devastate families, and betray America's tradition as a land of opportunity.
Let's drill into the figures. Marcus, Ari, what do Americans need to understand about scale?
Here's the blunt truth. In fiscal year 2024, CBP recorded more than 2.4 million migrant encounters at the southern border. That's not manageable. That's not a few workers filling labor shortages. That's a flood. And net effect? The U.S. foreign-born population reached 53.3 million in January 2025. That's bigger than the entire population of Spain.
Important context, Marcus. Those 2.4 million encounters include repeat crossers. Some individuals tried multiple times and were counted multiple times. And not all stay. Many are turned back, deported, or voluntarily return. As for the 53.3 million foreign-born, yes, that's high. But look closer. By mid-2025, the number actually declined as policies shifted and outflows increased. And historically, America has thrived during times when immigration rose. In the early 20th century, we absorbed even larger immigrant shares relative to the population.
Economics next. Marcus, you argue immigrants are a financial burden. Spell it out.
Local governments see the bills first. Schools have to hire ESL teachers overnight. Emergency rooms are stretched. Shelters overflow. The Congressional Budget Office warned in 2024 that surges in migration increase near-term spending on healthcare, housing, and processing. That money doesn't fall from the sky. It's taxpayers' money. So yes, Maybe in the long run, some immigrants contribute, but families in Texas, Arizona, even Chicago or New York are paying the price now.
And the CBO also said, if you read past the headlines, that immigrants boost the labor force, pay into Social Security and Medicare, and reduce long-term fiscal pressure. Because they're younger, they work, they pay payroll taxes. And beyond budgets, immigrants drive innovation. Roughly a quarter of U.S. entrepreneurs are foreign-born. Nearly half of Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or their children. And in science, immigrants are behind a huge share of U.S. patents. So yes, you need short-term investment, but the payoff is enormous. That's the missing half of Marcus's story.
Crime is an emotional flashpoint. Marcus, MAGA supporters often cite immigrant crime. What's your case?
Talk to people in border towns. Property crime is up. Smuggling networks operate with impunity. Families have lost loved ones to fentanyl overdoses, and much of that poison crosses the border. And when authorities hide data on violent crimes committed by undocumented migrants, it fuels distrust. People see the headlines. They see cases where migrants committed horrific acts. And they ask, why were they here at all?
Of course, trafficking and fentanyl are real problems. But let's be precise. Multiple studies show immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans. Lower incarceration rates, lower violent crime rates. The danger isn't immigrants as criminals. It's cartels and traffickers exploiting broken systems. So we need smarter enforcement against smuggling, not blanket demonization of immigrant families working in kitchens, building homes, or staffing hospitals.
MAGA has made immigration central to its platform. Marcus, what would you do tomorrow if you were in charge?
3 things. First, finish the wall. Physical barriers work. Ask Border Patrol agents. Second, end catch and release. No more releasing migrants with flimsy court dates years away. Quick processing, quick deportations. Third, penalties for traffickers. Right now, smugglers profit. We need mandatory minimums and bilateral enforcement with Mexico. When Trump's team reimposed stricter measures in 2025, encounters dropped significantly in some months. That's proof tough policies work.
Walls don't stop asylum seekers. They go around or dig under or surrender at ports of entry. Mass deportations, logistically impossible, morally disastrous, and economically self-sabotaging. We need smart triage, more judges, faster asylum courts, safe legal channels for workers. Combine humane pathways with targeted enforcement against cartels. That's how you balance security and values.
One question our viewers ask again and again: has the immigration debate itself become racist?
Racist? No. Patriotic. Wanting your borders controlled isn't racism. It's sovereignty. The left throws the word racism to shut people up. But people in small towns watching hospitals overflow aren't racist. They're angry, and they have a right to be.
I'll agree anger is real. But let's be honest. There are times rhetoric crosses into scapegoating entire groups. Blaming every crime on immigrants, implying non-white migrants are threats to American identity. That's where racism creeps in. We need to separate fair concerns about policy from the dangerous language that fuels hate crimes. That's a responsibility for leaders, left and right.
Tonight we've heard 2 visions. Marcus Hayes, voicing the MAGA perspective, says America is overwhelmed, that the system is broken, border towns are paying the price, and only tough, uncompromising enforcement can restore sovereignty. Ari Mercer, the progressive voice, says immigrants fuel America's prosperity, crime fears are exaggerated, and the answer lies in balanced policy, secure borders, and functioning legal pathways. The facts. Foreign-born population hit 53.3 million in Jan 2025, the highest ever before recent declines. Border encounters broke records in 2024, but policy changes in 2025 did reduce some numbers. Immigrants contribute disproportionately to entrepreneurship, patents, and workforce growth. Studies show immigrants commit fewer crimes, though trafficking and drugs at the border remain major challenges. Fiscal effects. Short-term surges cost money, but long-term gains can outweigh the costs. Immigration in America has never been just about numbers. It's about identity, values, and the kind of nation we want to be. And that debate clearly is far from over. Good night. If you enjoyed this debate, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next AI showdown.